Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have another true crime video for you guys. So this is actually the start of a new series, and this series I have actually partnered up with TNT to promote their new show coming out, I Am the Night. Each video in this series will be a different old Hollywood crime, and today's is very interesting. I had never heard of this story before, but wow, it's really creepy. It's definitely one I could have even used for Freak Week. But before we get right into our story here, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about I Am the Night. So the show premieres in January of 2019, which is right around the corner, folks. It stars Chris Pine. India Isley plays Fauna Hodel, from the director of Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins. Inspired by a true story, I Am the Night tells the incredible story of Fauna Hodel, a teenage girl whose world was turned upside down after the secret of her adoption is revealed. As the mystery of her past is revealed, she meets reporter Jay Singletary, who is played by Chris Pine. And together they fall down the rabbit hole that leads them into the sinister world of 1960s Los Angeles, and also led them to one of the most infamous unsolved murders in Hollywood, the case of the Black Dahlia. Now, I have talked about the Black Dahlia on this channel. I'm so interested to see how the show incorporates the Black Dahlia case. That is one of the most interesting cases of all time. I will link my video on it below if you want to kind of get a little preview of it. And inspired by TNT's I Am the Night, I will be diving into some of the most crazy old Hollywood cases that will kind of get us in the mood for this show over the next couple of months. If you want to check out the trailer for the new show, definitely check out the link in my description box. It'll take you to the trailer. And now let's get into the story of Harold and Lillian. So this is Dr. Harold Perlison, and he was a very well-known surgeon specializing in cardiothorax and allergies. Harold was very successful in his work and was very well respected in the medical field. And he actually really gained popularity and, became sort of a well-known person in the medical world from an invention that he made. And he basically created a new type of syringe that would allow doctors to take medications right out of the bottle into the syringe without having to expose it to air and load it in separately. It can now suck it right out of the bottle. I'm sure you guys have seen doctors use this now, but this was a while back and it wasn't around yet. So Harold created it. And if you create something, an invention that's important and can be used by tons of people, especially something in the medical world, you're gonna be doing pretty good financially. Harold was also the author of one of the most respected clinical reports of all time. It's called the electrocardiogram in family periodic paralysis. And he was also a well-known medical keynote speaker and traveled all around the world speaking to different medical professionals. He was also the assistant of head cardiology for the School of Medicine at USC and was also on the surgical teams of cardiology at Los Angeles County General, Cedars Lebanon Hospital, and Santa Fe Hospital of Los Angeles. So basically things were going pretty good for Harold. Not only did he have the career all, set up and going, he also had a wife and 3 children. This is his wife Lillian. She was described as a great wife, mother, and homemaker. And together they had 3 children: Judy, age 18, Debbie, age 11, and Joseph, age 13. And they lived in a mansion that sat on the top of the Los Feliz hilltop in Los Angeles, California. This is a gorgeous house. It's a 4-bedroom Spanish-style home, and that was really beautiful back in the day. And it was a dream come true for them to move into this house. He was self-made, and it was really exciting for them. So all seems to be good, right? On December 6th of 1959, Harold came home from work like normal, was greeted by the kids like normal. He came in the house, made himself a drink, and sat back and relaxed while his wife was wrapping Christmas presents and cooking dinner, as it was always the wife's job to do. After this, Lillian and the family sat down and had dinner. Everything was normal. They had a good night. After dinner, the family watched a little bit of TV before they were going to put the 2 youngest to bed. After a little while, Judy decided she was going to go up and do homework. So this is their oldest daughter. And then Harold and Lillian stayed downstairs for a bit. And eventually Lillian went up to bed and Harold followed her. He didn't go right to bed with her though. He went upstairs and read a little bit of his book before going to bed. However, around 4:30 a.m., Harold woke up. He got out of bed, went and got a hammer, and came back to his sleeping wife. And it was then that he started brutally attacking her with a hammer. She was screaming and stuff, and it actually woke up their daughter Judy. And after he was done with Lillian, he left her and went off to find Judy. When Judy saw that her father was carrying a hammer and swinging it around, she started screaming as loud as she could, which woke up the neighbors next door. She was somehow able to like defend herself from the blows to her head, kind of by like holding her arms up and fighting him off. After beating her though for a little while, he thought she was dead, so he left, which she really wasn't. She was kind of playing dead, but I mean, she wasn't in great condition either. And he was interrupted by another one of his daughters, Debbie, who was younger, and she walked down the hall to Judy's room. And he said something along the lines of, "Go back to bed, honey. You know, if this is just a bad dream," and sent her off to bed. But she's not stupid. She knows like something's going on. And while Harold was putting her back into her bed, Judy kind of got enough strength, kind of came to, and somehow got out of the house, just ran out of the house. She ran to the neighbor's house, who were already awake because they heard the screaming and were concerned. And so they were right at the front door already when she came up. And Debbie, you know, had a feeling that this was not a dream, something was really going on. So she actually ended up packing up her and her brother's stuff, and the two of them left the house. The neighbor called the police, and then he walked Judy back to her house. And when Harold started realizing what was going on and that, you know, the police were going to be coming, he ran upstairs and locked himself in the bathroom. And this is when he took a bunch of different types of pills and had some type of overdose. He had barbiturates mixed in there, just like a bunch of random stuff. And he's a doctor, so he knew what was going to kill him. And 15 minutes later, he overdosed. And there's also rumors that he drank a cup of acid, but that just seems like a rumor. I'm not sure how true that is. And once the coroners were doing autopsies on the bodies, they realized that Lillian's eyes were completely bloodshot, meaning that she died of asphyxiation from basically drowning in her own blood. And while they were searching through his house, they found a copy of the epic poem, The Divine Comedy, written by Dante Alighieri. And it was just sitting on his nightstand. And the book was flipped open to a page that said, "Midway upon the journey of our life, I found within myself a forest dark, for the straightforward pathway had been lost." They obviously took Judy to the hospital since she had, you know, some injuries. She had a fractured skull and some bruising, but other than that, she was okay. But people that knew this family were completely shocked by this event. They said they were a really happy, normal family, that he was a very loving father, and none of this made sense. I mean, he's a doctor, he has this good life. Why do this? Did something come over him? Was he like possessed? And when police searched Judy's car, they actually found a letter that she had written to her aunt. And it said, "We are on the merry-go-round again. Same problems, same worries, only tenfold. My parents are in a bind financially." She also talked about getting a job to help her family out. The letter talked about how she was going to start looking for a job to help with the family's crisis, which doesn't make a lot of sense because, you know, Harold is a doctor and an inventor. Like, how is he having financial problems? Well, it turns out that Harold actually got completely screwed over in his invention process. In 1949, after developing like a rough copy of the device, he partnered with this businessman named Edward Shustak, and he promised to take his invention and make it into a big medical hit. Harold and Edward agreed that they would split the profits, and Harold and Lillian had even invested $25,000 of their own money into this. And Edward spent another 11 years working on the device, getting it ready to go to market, but he ended up never giving Harold any money. This is when Harold filed a complaint against him, saying that he basically stole his idea for the device. Harold sued him and demanded a compensation of over $100,000, and after all was said and done, the court awarded him about $24,000, a little under that actually. And it's actually not known if his syringe ever even came to market. So the big question here is, why did Harold do this? A lot of people think that he was under insane pressure from financial situation, you know, living in this huge mansion and stuff, and he just snapped. A lot of people think that he killed his wife and his daughter and himself because it would be easier than them all living in poverty, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But after the shock of the story had kind of died down, the mansion went to auction for sale, and the money from the house would go to pay off any leftover debt that Harold and Lillian had, and the rest would be awarded to the children. In 1960, the mansion was sold to a couple named Emily and and Judy. However, the couple never ended up even moving in, and it seemed that the house was being used as some type of storage unit. Over the years, they would only visit the house to put something else in it or to take something out of it. They weren't necessarily rude to the neighbors, but they weren't like super friendly either, and a lot of the neighbors hated living next to like this abandoned house that needed a lot of work done. But they ended up passing away in 1994, and their son Rudy actually got the house. And the neighbors were all excited that this new Rudy guy was gonna come in and, you know, make it an actual house, renovate it, maybe resell it or live in it himself. But that's not the case, because he never ended up renovating it, and he never ended up even moving in. This is when neighbors complained to the city that the house was being used as some type of hangout area, that they saw homeless people sleeping in the backyard, and that prostitutes and drug dealers and stuff, like sketchy people, were using it and going in and out of it. And it was just becoming kind of like this creepy abandoned space, and they were living near it. And there was also a lot of reports of the house being haunted, which would not shock me considering what happened in there. Throughout the years, various ghost hunters and stuff have visited the house and claimed to have had paranormal experiences there. Here are some of the things that people have claimed to have witnessed. People have described seeing a lot of orbs in the house. Also, apparently in the early morning hours, people can hear a woman screaming and saying no. And then shortly after that, people have heard a man moaning and, you know, in some type of distraught situation. And apparently this goes on until it all goes silent again. There have also been various reports of faces looking out the windows, which is really creepy. One specific ghost hunter said that he saw Lillian herself looking through the upstairs window at him. They said that she would just gaze at them for a few minutes and then vanish from sight. And people have tried to take pictures of this woman, but when they develop them or look back at them, she's not anywhere in the frame. So in 2016, the house went back on the market and was sold in July 2016 for $2.3 million, which is crazy because the house was in really shitty condition. So that's how expensive LA is. It was, you know, still a mansion and everything, but it needed serious work. So going for 2.3 mil is like crazy. As for the 3 children of Harold and Lillian, there is really nothing known about what happened to them. We do know when the parents died that relatives took the 2 younger ones in on the East Coast, and there have also been rumors and reports that the kids changed their last names, or at least Judy did, so that she wouldn't be associated with the event that had happened, and she just wanted a fresh start. But no one has seen her or heard from her since, so it's pretty wild. I definitely want to know what you guys think of this story. This is just one of those ones that's so weird because it's so unexplained. It's such odd behavior, and I kind of wonder if he was even like sleepwalking. Like how much of it was him in control, because it sounded so out of character, like he's a doctor and stuff, but maybe he was secretly like evil. I don't know. I want to know your guys' thoughts for sure. I hope you guys are excited about this series. I can't wait to look at even more old Hollywood cases. Be sure to check out the trailer for I Am the Night in the description box below. Don't forget it is coming out in January 19, so get excited. And that's it for me today, guys. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you next time.